But Alyssa, I think our viewers might want to get into a little bit of chess as well, and I know you wanted us to go over a game that you and I have played 2 years ago in the World Rapid and Blitz. Shall we get into it?
Yeah, that
All
sounds
right.
great. And we've been talking for a while, so I appreciate you indulging me. Yeah, and
It's
there's a lot to go through in this game as well. But this was a very rich game, and since you and I had played it, I thought it would be interesting for the viewers to hear both of our perspectives and what we were thinking about.
Yeah, I think it would be nice to kind of go through the game and talk how what went through our minds going into the game. For me personally, I gotta say, I was excited to see you back on the board because I hadn't seen you play for a while. With the COVID and everything, I think we haven't kept in touch much. And then I saw your name on the list, and I was like, oh great, I'll see Alisa there. I didn't want to play you though because you and I have had a very interesting. I think I don't know that's the score between the two of us, but I know if we've competed, you won some games, I won some games. We had always very exciting games. Like one of us was winning and then maybe messing up and not winning anymore. I can remember a few games, and I know you have a very interesting aggressive style, and I didn't know how much time you put into preparing for this game. So I was nervous. That's what I wanted to say. I was a bit nervous getting to play against you. I don't know how you felt, but that was my personal feel getting into the game. So feel free to.
100% the same because I was looking forward to playing a world championship event again, and it's been a while since I played at that level. So I
Mhm.
played, like I mentioned, played in the Bahamas or maybe some local tournaments, but not really a big national or international event. And it was definitely it was almost like going back in time, just going back into the venue and seeing the familiar faces and just going through the world championship the venue, like the tournament, the rule book, all of those steps. I felt like I was transported. And then when I saw that we were paired, I had the same thought. It's like, oh, it's like, oh, why do I have to play my friends here? And also, we were paired. I think this is important for the game is that this the rapid portion was multiple days and
Yes.
we were paired the next day, so it was one of those rare moments where you actually have time to prepare for a rapid game
Right.
because usually during the day itself there isn't really much time to prepare in between rounds.
Yeah, so the game was played the second day. We both had relatively, I mean, not a very good start. I think one, maybe one and a half out of four, I think. Because, like, first day for me was very bad. So I think you had probably something similar. I don't know
Yeah.
how you felt about your own tournament, but for me, I didn't go into the tournament hoping that I would, finish top, but I thought I had I was feeling excited to play, as you said, like World Rapid and Blitz. It's usually organized somewhere in Asia, and it is quite expensive to go to play. So being in the US, I thought, okay, it's a great tournament to play. But yeah, I hadn't had a good start, and then having to play you was definitely not ideal, but we had to play.
Yeah. And
So
we've had epic games, as you've said before, a lot of ups and downs. So yeah, I knew it would be another good fight.
yeah, and you and I, like, for those of you who want to check out some of the other games, you can of course check them on Chessbase or something. But also, when I thought about having you as a guest, I remembered our you have created at some point for chess.com this series of I don't remember if it was your games from the US Championship or it was a series on the French, but we had played 1 year and then you and I had to record a video. And I remember it went really great as we went through that game that we played one another, which was also as intense as this one. So for those of you who want, I believe those videos, you can probably still find them on chess.com. If you remember the title of it, feel free to say it, but
Yeah, it might have been the advanced French line because there's a specific line that's
Yeah.
maybe a sub-variation of the Milner Berry in
Yes,
the
that's what.
advanced French that I really enjoy playing, and we
Hmm.
had an amazing game there. So I believe it was part of that. But it seemed like so at some point you had switched over to playing the Caro recently, at
I
least
did.
in my
I did.
database. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we did. That's what I did against you. And then I thought you were gonna play d4, I think. But
Yeah, because I also play the advanced Caro, so I thought that's what you might be
I
expecting.
did, and then you played d3, and I was like, okay, no worries. I'm just gonna proceed with my Kara, knight d2, and it's always very tricky in these positions because you can try to take here, I guess, as black, or maybe I could try to go for, I mean, g6 is what I play, but maybe e5. I have debated whether I should go for e5 and try to transpose into some kind of King's Indian with reverse colors or Pirk with reverse colors somehow. But I decided to kind of keep my g6 g6 system here. I don't know how much had you prepared for this game.
Yeah, even for this line or for
Mm-hmm.
the opening, I didn't look at it too in depth. So my strategy just going in and for rapid in general was just to get positions where I could be comfortable and wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
have to burn too much time on the
Yes,
clock. So it wasn't a situation where, oh, I need to find some novelty or some advantage. It's just, okay, how can I steer the game to something that is playable for me, especially for me going into the tournament, not even to this game. I did not have that much time to really prepare or even get myself into the right headspace.
I see. Okay, so we kind of got a pretty good. I thought I was comfortable with my play till here. Bishop g2. I play knight e7 to keep my pawn protected, both pawns protected, let's say. And then after castle queen here, I expected c3. I expected you to be playing c3 here. I don't know if you thought about it or not. But when you played b3, it took me completely off guard because I had not thought of this idea of white getting the bishop, not just on b2, but actually in a3 and taking advantage of the fact that I don't have control over that diagonal.
Yeah, so this setup I had prepared, but again,
Mhm,
just, the setup, not
mhm.
specific moves. Yeah, and then if you combine it with the pawn on a4, I think it's a solid setup for white. But you will see later on, I rushed with bishop a3. So in the moment, it looked good for the reasons that you mentioned. It controls the diagonal. But c5 is probably good for you anyway. And then once that was locked in, I admitted my mistake a few moves later. So I probably could have proceeded with the same plan that I did in the game, leaving the bishop on c1.
Yeah, with knight h4, you're talking about knight h4 and f4
Right.
idea. Yeah, yeah. I think it probably would have been pretty good. But I didn't like bishop a3 when you played it. I was like, oh. When I go c5, now you have your knight secure in c4. It's going to be hard for me to play a6 b5 because if I play a6, you'll play a5, and then I can't do it. So I have to play b6, a6, b5 if I really want to do that. And I thought it was a bit slow compared to a King's Indian, especially because I have a fianchettoed bishop, and then I have the knight in e7, which normally with the other colors it would be in. Sorry, it would be here. So I wasn't quite sure what how to evaluate the position. I was getting a bit uncomfortable. I mean, I thought of this idea, but yeah, I wasn't quite happy.
Yeah, I think here the breaks will be f4, f5,
Mm-hmm.
either way. Um, but yeah, once I got my knight to c4, I actually thought my position here was better than it was. When I put it in the computer, it didn't like it as much.
Yeah, I also thought white was much better because I'm suddenly feeling that you have a very clear plan, which is typical for King's Indian. But I wasn't sure what I am going to do, and oftentimes I guess it's typical to put the bishop here, take the knight maybe, and meet f4 with f5, which is what I ended up doing in the game. but I just feel like I had too many tempos down for some reason. And as the game progressed, I felt that I lost somewhere track of what was going on. You play knight h4, and the only thing that I was thinking about originally was bishop f6. And during the game, I was very mad at myself that I didn't play bishop f6 to push your knight back. Because I thought, oh, I have to do this. This is my bad bishop. I can try to get rid of the knight, and then maybe play f5. But I don't know if you're gonna go f4 or bishop c1. I'm not sure what you had planned, if you thought about bishop f6 at all.
Yeah, that's interesting. It didn't occur to me because my gut reaction is I don't mind if you take the knight, even if it doubles the pawns, because your bishop is such a strong defender there. And if I'm trying to go f4 and h5 anyway, it could help me. I don't know, maybe something like queen e1 comes to mind just to further protect the knight in case I want to go f4, but I would probably have to go bishop c1 at some point.
But I think you can go f4 and then take with the rook potentially, no? Or maybe you didn't like something like this.
Yeah. No, I would prefer to
prep it. Maybe bishop c1
yeah, to prep
first.
it. Yeah.
It's hard to, I mean, black's plan should be f5 when you play f4, but now I played b6, and like I said, I felt that I'm so behind with my development. And maybe I should have played just knight c6 and just, develop like normally in a normal fashion. But I think the fact that I didn't develop the knight actually was an issue for me later in the game, because my rook was stuck, and there were some tactical ideas because of which I got into a much worse position. Okay, do you have a moment you wanna go through specifically, or should I?
Nope. Yeah, we can keep going. So yeah, here I play bishop c1. So this is what I mentioned earlier, where the bishop is no longer serving its purpose on a3. So it's time to bring it back and go for the f4 plan.
Yeah. And then as soon as you played f4, I thought, wait a second, I'm doing okay here. I can take, which is what I ended up doing. Well, I took here, but I thought I can take here. And then when you took back, I thought I could play queen d7 and be fine. But I don't know. Ideas with bishop d6 were getting very, very clear to me. I wish I had the knight somehow so that I could put my queen here and maybe trade your bishop. Or maybe put the knight in e5, I don't know. But that wasn't possible, so I had to take. And then you took with the pawn, and then I play knight c6. I think maybe I had
Here
to...
you could have taken on f4, yeah.
And probably would go bishop takes, right?
Right, and then you can do the plan
Queen
with
d7.
queen d7, because I mean what I would like to do is take with the g pawn, but then you have d3 there.
Right.
So yeah, so if we do this,
d3, and then maybe, yeah, so if you go e5, then maybe bishops get traded, and you might not want that if you want to try to build an attack. But this is a nice, like, pawn push here, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the game is quickly getting imbalanced.
It does, yeah. Like, I thought if I play knight c6 here, I thought I'll have the ability to keep that, blocked, because to me, because I played like with white, right, against the King's Indian, and I know you were playing King's Indian with black a longer time ago. I don't know if you still do or not, but I just felt that I would be happy if your bishop in g2 would stay restricted. So if I could always recapture with a piece in e5, I thought I would be comfortable. The only thing I wasn't happy about is my knight in e7, which is just... I wish I could just trade it off the board with any of your pieces. It would be fine. Because with it being there, I just never have the ability to improve it. And I was struggling the whole time. Even ideas like this I was thinking, but they seem to be too slow to me. And I was genuinely very scared had you played f5 here. And I think we talked after the game that this... I don't know if it was here. You did play the next move, but I generally felt scared if you had played it a bit earlier, because it's one move faster. I know you have bishop g5, queen d2 ideas, and I don't know. I mean, maybe you didn't want to do it because maybe you thought I would trade, but I think you're definitely on the right track for some nice attack, in my opinion.
Yeah, f5 here was definitely better. So I played queen g4,
Yeah,
and this I noticed it's a theme of the game where, I can make a more striking move, but I instead do a more preparatory move. So in my mind, queen
true.
g4 was preparing f5, and f5 would be a lot more powerful with queen g4, but it gives you some chances you can take on f4 again. Oh, I think actually here's the line where you can take on f4, and again, you can go d3, and it might even be better here.
And then I have to trade. Like the great
Yeah.
thing about you having put the queen there is that I can potentially trade it, and you're not ready to hold on to it. Like, yeah, I don't think you can play here because of h6, right? Yeah, I think I'm trapping it so you can't,
Yeah.
because that's normally what you want when you bring the queen. So there was a moment like I noticed you were not super sure, so that gave me a little bit of confidence, but not too much. I remember both of us spent a lot of time actually in this game.
Yeah, for a rapid game, because the time
Yeah,
control, and I checked this, it was game 15 in 10-second increment.
yeah. And I think we were both really burning a lot of time out of the opening after the first, maybe 10 moves. Things started changing, and though maybe both of us are familiar with these types of positions, we still had to kind of calculate various things, especially because there's a lot of captures, and then there's pieces that you want to improve. And when you build up an attack, you usually want to open up files, and you were trying to figure out what was the best way, and of course bring your queen. And yeah, and I panicked here, I gotta say. I didn't realize that this was the moment I had to take, and I made this very bad decision of playing king h8, and now letting you play f5, which you did not hesitate to do. And now black's position is pretty bad. I wasn't happy, and I was always worried about potential sacrifices somehow in g6 with checks, and or wait, what else was it? Yeah, like queen h4 and then bishop h6 stuff, or of course f6 sometimes too. I didn't know what to do, so I ended up taking, which probably was not ideal either, but it's really hard to come up with a good move for black here. And
Yeah,
then
at this point, once I have f5 in, yeah, maybe you chose the best plan, which was just to combat it head on.
I tried to defend, I tried to trade, but usually, like, the reason I really like this position for white is a lot of the times people in these types of positions, they would push here a pawn, they would sack a pawn, black would take, and then white would push this in order to be able to get that f5 in and make sure the position gets opened and black doesn't have an outpost in e5. But here, you didn't even give up any pawn. Your position is just, so much more powerful. You have this threat, you have the outpost that you can utilize for a bishop. Your knight is close by to potentially sacrifice it for mating nets. And I just wasn't sure what I was going to do. And I thought if I play bishop f6 and rook g8, I should be able to save things here. But I think at some point you had the knight g6. I don't know if it was here or the next move. You had this knight g6 that scared me. I think maybe here it works too.
Yeah, it was for several moves that I could play knight g6. Here, it should work as well. And again, it was one of those situations where, I had the move, but I didn't feel confident about it because I couldn't see a straightforward win.
Yeah,
Oh, see here,
this would
here
be
rook takes
this would be
f6.
kind of a cute idea I wanted to show for the viewers. Like, you're getting your pieces in, and it's just, I don't know, is it mate? I don't know if it's mate, but it's something. Check
I
here.
bring this bishop, yeah.
Rook f1, bishop. I can't even play rook f8. It would have been really tough for me to defend. I think I was trying to find a way to sacrifice an exchange to somehow protect my position, but I totally forgot knight g6 was a possibility. And thankfully for me, you did not play it immediately. But yeah, this is I'm I'm getting a very tough. Okay, I don't need to recapture in g6. Okay, I kind of showed the line because I thought it was nice for the viewers, but maybe I could try to play queen g7 and try to somehow defend here. But the problem with black's position is the lack of coordination of the pieces, and I feel that for white it's very nice. And this bishop that in my mind I didn't think it was doing much, it just felt very difficult to deal with. And you have the knight coming too. Let's not forget the knight in c4, which
Yeah, the knight on d6, it'll come into play in the later lines as well, as it turns out to be a lot more powerful than I thought. And going to your point about the bishop, so I know that especially in these structures, this bishop is such a key
sorry,
defender.
this one, yeah.
Exactly. So that's why for me, I don't know, I don't even remember if I spent too much time calculating knight g6 because to me bishop g5 seemed like a solid option here to develop that bishop and to get rid of one of your defenders and to loosen up the f6 square to allow me to possibly push on f6 as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you take here and I recapture and then suddenly you bring in your knight to e4 and then you play f6, you definitely are, like from a positional standpoint, it's great, and maybe tactical too. That should be something. And around here, I started feeling like all those, self-worth. We had the conversation earlier about self-worth. Like, what have I done? This is bad. I don't want to lose. Started hoping that I could somehow defend and maybe get a draw, because I could feel that this is getting tough, and this was, like, to my knowledge of your play, the kind of position that you enjoy a lot. And yeah, with little time on the clock, it was tough for me to figure things out. So I thought, okay, I go knight g8, and then if I get lucky for you to take, then maybe my knight comes into play and I somehow can defend a little bit. But obviously, you were not gonna take there. Although you want to trade the bishop, you obviously would be helping me, so you didn't make that move. And you play, queen h5 here, you played.
Yeah, but here again, here knight g6 is
Yeah.
even more powerful.
I think it is here that I knew, like, if you were going to play this, I knew that I wasn't going to survive for a long time, because after the takes, it's just this pawn is stopping my defense, and then your queen comes in, and I couldn't see an easy way out. So I was going to go king g7 and sack the exchange. That was my plan kind of here, but here white's position should be pretty dominating. I don't know, queen h, maybe you can take queen h4 and march this pawn or something.
Yeah, with the exchange sacrifice under these circumstances, if I knew it would happen like this, I would definitely go into it. The line that I didn't see fully was, so if you take it, which is the most challenging line. So first of all, queen h4, queen h6 doesn't work because of this knight on g8 protecting this square. So
Right.
that was a bit annoying. But if we play this out and I think if you take and go queen g7 and defend, the key in the position here is knight d6. And so this is what I had underestimated. And this, it's not even related directly to the attack, but it's attacking this bishop, and this knight is suddenly under attack, and also the f7 square. And it's not so obvious that this knight is part of the attack on c4, because without knight d6, I was just focusing on what I have here, and I didn't see any immediate mate, so I had underestimated this move, unfortunately.
Yeah, this is the move that I also didn't see. Like, I thought maybe I can survive, but I wasn't sure, because I was very nervous on how I can survive. This knight g6 was super scary, but yeah, this looks really bad. Yeah, I mean, I have the 19G8 that protects, but it's not the thing that I think a lot of us are struggling with, and we had this prior into our podcast, Alisa, is the fact that we are thinking about, like, I think trying to get something. If we feel the position is better or winning, we try to find the best possible move that would give us, like, this brilliant looking finish. And a lot of the times, if we don't specifically see it, we might not realize the power of specific moves that would just give us like a big advantage. We expect to see maybe mate, like the attack to finish with a mate. And I notice a lot of players are struggling with that. We forget to be objective. And I think maybe this could have been something that was going on through your mind, that you wanted to try to find something super concrete, and eventually you did go for the material, but I think you probably were looking for more because your position is really good. I mean, you have to try to look for something good, and maybe that's what kept you from playing the move knight g6 potentially.
Exactly, and I went queen h5, which even similar to queen g4, where it was preparing f5, here queen h5 obviously prepares knight g6.
Right.
So it's one of those, it's not even trying to find a concrete line, but it's trying to mitigate the risk as much as possible.
Right.
So I was just holding back from going into complications.
Yeah, and here I thought, okay, maybe I can try to trade queens, and here again your knight g6 would have been really powerful. Because obviously I can't take it. I'm sure you saw this line. There must have been, I don't know what. Oh, no, sorry, you don't take, my bad. The knight d6.
But here
knight
again,
d6,
knight d6,
yeah, this was
yeah,
the move.
keeps coming up.
Yeah. Because knight f8, I wonder if you were only focused on trying to get that, and then you saw your queen is hanging, and you might have stopped with, because there's nothing else that you can do. I mean.
Yeah, well, after knight d6, you have to look at, because you're attacking the queen
Right,
again, so I can't take.
This, and now I think it's knight f5, the only move, I think, or something like that. Right? Knight f5, king. Because you don't have time to take things, because I'm up a piece right now, right?
Yeah, you're up a piece, and my bishop on g5 is still under attack if I try to take your queen and take your bishop on b7. So,
but I feel like you can win, like this,
Yeah, all the pieces are coming in. Yeah, so you have to see bishop d5 in this line.
Yeah, deflection. But I mean, let's not forget, like at this point, we're move 20. We don't have the game with the time, but I think we were both like a couple of minutes left on the clock. We didn't have more than that, and you have to think, okay, this is a complicated position. I need to try to get to do something. I was trying to just trade pieces to simplify because that was the only thing that I could think about. And
it's also one of those positions where it seems like so many different things win, and I have different plans, and then you end up just settling on one that is not optimal, and then slowly your advantage dissipates.
Yes, step by step, it kind of went away. So after this, when you traded the queens, I was happy. I was like, okay, I don't get mated. That was like, I don't want to lose with a mate. Considering what a bad position I got, I was very mad with how the opening turned out, and I wasn't even sure where exactly I went fully wrong. Obviously, now as we talked about it, we know where I went wrong, but in the game I didn't know, and I just felt like my position was good at the beginning, but in fact it wasn't. As you said, I looked through the engine and I was like, oh, wait, I was actually much worse. The extra space that I had wasn't making up for the fact that I was behind with development. And I think this was the last moment where you had something to still keep the options of these by playing queen h6. And that's what I had analyzed, but I think.
Right. Yeah, I should have just kept the queens on the board and felt confident in the attack. Here, I thought I had a concrete line, although I did see your defensive resources, but I thought, once we get to the point where we're exchanging queens and it's a forced sequence, and also, no risk to me because I'm not sacrificing anything. Obviously, if you take back here, it's almost like a domino effect, or this reminded me of billiards or pool ball. Yeah, if you take here, and suddenly all of the start to fall off. You of course didn't go for that, but I thought, and I did see e4 from a distance, but I thought, okay, here I must have something because even if I have a few moves, I'm a piece up.
Yeah.
There should be, I have tempos, right? I still have a pawn in f5. But I didn't realize how solid this could be for black. And also, I mean, e4 was a good defensive move here, and also instructive for your viewers is don't automatically recapture.
Yes.
There could be better moves.
I mean, I felt good. I was like, okay, I didn't lose. I didn't get made it. I saw that your knight gets trapped. I mean, I saw that idea. I didn't see e4 immediately when I calculated everything. Originally, I was gonna play rook c8, I think. But then I think if I had played that, you can probably come back with the knight, which that's a worst place piece, so you can improve it. And then now if I go e4, you'll have knight g5, and then, you know, even if I get e3, then the bishop opens up once again. So I definitely was trying to avoid that. And maybe even you have, like, if you actually get something like this, I think you have knight d6, which I think is cool. I don't know if it works. Maybe it doesn't. I think it looks cool, but yeah, because you have that. So I was like, I need to make sure that this knight is not going to escape from there. So this is the only continuation. But you are still much better here, but you did lose a lot of your advantage for sure.
Yeah, and I lost a bit of the momentum. So you see things are shifting a bit. So here I went for g4, which is part of, you know, I'm trying to target the e4 pawn and get your knight out of f6, but I believe it was more accurate to play rook
rook
e1
e1.
first.
Yeah, and then you can just take the... But it just, like, it doesn't come naturally in a game to do that. When you feel that you've had a lot of pressure, you're thinking, I don't want to give up the bishop. I feel that that was probably what you were concerned about. Like, you don't want to let me recapture this, although you're up a pawn and, you know, this is a pass pawn active and everything, but it just doesn't feel natural to want to give up, to allow the bishop to be captured, because, you know, you had it open on that diagonal. So I think that's the reason why you probably play g4.
Yeah, I thought I should have something more, and I was still feeling the initiative. Also, after rook e1, the best move might be rook e8 to just defend it. But now I can go g4.
Yeah.
Whereas in the game where I rushed with g4,
Yeah, I could have played rook g8, which
rook
I
g8.
missed. I missed, and then tried to get my activity. You see, I panicked as normally. I mean, it was a low time on the clock. I panicked about the g5. I was not looking forward to you playing it, and I totally missed this move, because a lot of many times in the game you had this idea with knight g6. So in my mind, I still had this thinking process. I need to make sure my king escapes the corner, or else knight g6 is going to be played. And I just definitely didn't want to get my king locked in. And I think that's the reason why, you know, my move was h6, although it, like, when I see it now, I'm thinking, Sabina, how could you do that? How could you make that move? I mean, then, you know, white's knight is bad. It's on the rim. I mean, you play h6, you allow knight g6, and of course you're gonna play it, and you did play it. So, you know, but as we talked about it, you know, sometimes you're playing things and you're just so phased out about something specific, you're stuck on one idea that you forget to really consider a lot of the opponent's options, or maybe your own options, and you miss things. And
right. And I see what you're saying is because for so much of the game at this point, knight g6 was a threat, and
yes,
with your king, so finally you have a chance to escape it. And this goes to the point that you were saying earlier about your students is come to the position as if this is the first time you're seeing the position. So if this is the first time you're seeing it and you don't remember everything that happened with knight g6, you probably wouldn't play h6 here.
Definitely, I would not. Yeah,
Yes.
but let's not forget this was a rapid game. We had, like, I'm sure we had the seconds here, so we had to play fast. I didn't think it through, and then you play knight g6, and then I was like, okay, it's not a terrible. Your knight is nice, but maybe I'll play h5, and maybe I'll be able to, you know, undermine its defense, and maybe eventually it will go away. But you played h4, very good, and I still delayed the capturing of the knight, so I brought my rook here, and here I think
it's quite amazing that the knight has been hanging out there for 3 moves. Yeah. So I've been up a piece for 3 moves, but I haven't been able to do anything with it.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, you can. The best thing you can do is maybe take here, but it's not gonna really give you that much. So you kind of let the knight be, and you play knight f4, which I thought was like, in the game I thought it was a good move, but I guess, you know, after that I realized it wasn't as good. And I do not know why I didn't take this pawn. I have no excuse for not taking it. I think as you said, I played without a piece for too long at this point.
Yes.
So the materialistic side of me said it's time to grab the knight, which was
Yeah.
a mistake. I should have taken in g4 and make it a
Yeah.
bit
But
more.
then you allow me to take on e4 and activate the
Yeah,
bishop.
yeah. I had to calculate all this, which wasn't easy, and I think I still get the knight later, but it's just I was worried about things like this and then this. I guess you can't do that because of knight f2, but maybe rook f3, rook g3 or something, or rook f4.
Mm.
I was worried about a rook of yours getting to g6 and then being in trouble, and I thought I'm wasting too many moves. So that's why I didn't go for knight g4. But this was really split second that I looked at it because we didn't have time. So,
Yeah.
but you're definitely much better here still.
Yeah, what is better? And practically, yeah, I think it was a better decision not to allow my bishop into the game because my plan is straightforward here, and we're also playing on time and on increment. And if my
Mm-hmm.
next few moves are obvious,
True.
there is some advantage there
True.
too.
Oh, sorry.
Yep.
So here I took. But now the next part of the game you played really well, and I was slowly like getting outplayed again, like completely. Now you're just, like you have the majority on the king side. You have to start pushing it, and you have the opportunity to push it with tempo. Knight went away, and then you play knight e6. And here, I mean, what to do? I mean, I can play king f7 and suffer for a while longer. And as you said, you would have taken here
Yeah.
the pawn, and then I was like, the bishop is active. It's not good. Or just try to sack and hope that I can create some kind of fortress, though it wasn't really a fortress. It's just it was my attempt to trying to kind of save the game somehow. So I went for this.
Yeah, another
Issue.
great resource too, just like when you went e4 instead of taking my knight back
Mm-hmm.
immediately, an exchange sacrifice here defensively was a great decision here because so my two pawns are no longer protected and no
Mm-hmm.
longer together, and so that definitely helps you out and it gives you some time as well. So yeah, that might have not been an easy decision, but hopefully also very instructive for your viewers about resources in these situations.
Yeah, I mean, this is the. I mean, it's hard. I mean, you definitely don't want to resign, because it's hard. Like for us chess players, I think it's hard. For me specifically, I've struggled with this my entire life. I mean, I tell my students to resign when they're completely lost, but it's just hard for me to do. I've played many games, and I know it's like I don't play till mate, but I do need a little bit of time to kind of get used to the situation that okay, I messed up and I'm
Mhm.
losing this and there's no more resources. You can still of course have resources. I mean, I feel bad that you chose this game in a way for the for the podcast because like I know in the end I did win, but like the thing is that like there's a lot of lessons for both of us to learn and share to others about it, but in the same time like I don't know if it was okay that I kept playing in a way because like I am I'm much worse, but
Well, there's
I mean
still
there's
life
still
left
pieces,
in
yeah.
the game for sure. I mean, your position has some teeth, and you'll see that your knights became very, very active after this and worked together in the way that I wasn't expecting. And I have had many comeback stories from chess games too, where
Mm-hmm.
I was down. I think one of my favorite games, actually, I was down two pawns in the rook ending and ended up winning. And this was one
Mm.
of the World Youth events. So yeah, I mean, for people who are just starting to play, for beginners, if you're just down the queen, then it could be disrespectful to play. But for positions like this, where it's definitely not over yet, I mean, it definitely
Yeah,
makes sense to keep playing.
I mean, I tried to come up with some ways to still hold it and kind of, connect my pieces or use, my knights because, that was the best I could do. And I thought at least I put my pieces on dark square since you have the light square bishop. And I thought, okay, maybe that would help. But you could have definitely played something like this, I think, first if you had done it. Like maybe, I don't know, maybe you would have made my life harder to really hold because I mean once you take that pawn and your rook comes in, you might be able to win in an easier fashion. But the way it happened, it kind of gave me a little bit of ideas with my knights, as you said, to kind of improve. And it made it difficult to the point that at some point you decided to sack the exchange back, I think, or I wanted. How was it? Oh, you
Yeah.
played g6. Yeah, I was surprised you didn't give me check, but at this point we were literally just playing on the increment, like. Um, so you play g6, and here, I don't know why you played this move. Maybe to go rook g1, or I don't know if you remember. I mean,
Yeah, because now King A, I think I was trying to activate the king and
mhm.
try to get out of the checks and the forks with the knight on g5 coming to f3.
Yeah, to me this was important. I felt that you had to do it earlier to just cut me off
Hmm.
because king f6, I thought I was gonna get mated there, or g7 or something. So to me, I felt that that move had to be played because after that, I kind of was able to control the squares, and you didn't have the ability to activate the rook immediately. And with the time ticking down, it's just now you have to figure out, okay, how are my rooks? Because I like to tell my students that when you lose an exchange and your opponent has the rooks, every single piece has some properties that are important. And with rooks, it's open files and
Yep.
activating them. And if you don't have the ability to do that, maybe the power of your rook versus the knight or the bishop is not as big. And I was at least a little bit fine here that you just don't have rook h7. But yeah, you did eventually end up attempting to trade, and then I think this part of the game is pretty fine. I don't know if you have moves that you wanted to share, or we can go on.
Yeah, I don't even remember if rook g4 was intentional or not to give back the exchange, but I
Mm-hmm.
figured that at this point I had to give up the exchange under favorable circumstances in some
Mm-hmm.
way, especially
Yeah.
because the knight on e3, it's too strong. And just a few moves ago, I had the knight on e6, and now this one, it's really cramping up my
Mm-hmm.
position. So, and like you said, I don't have any entry points with the rooks. So I'd
Right.
want to play rook h7, can't play rook h7, can't play rook f7. Your king is saved. This bishop on d3 is a dud.
Yeah.
Not really progressing anywhere. So I needed something to happen.
Mm-hmm. To me, I thought maybe you'll give up on the rooks, like on f7 or h7, and then bring the other one in and just take the knight and just kind of make the trade like that. But that does like fully give up the. I don't know which one is better. Maybe this one takes check, and then trying to take the knight with the
Mhm.
rook, and then taking here potentially was something I was considering. But yeah, I mean, you need time to assess everything, and this is the easiest way to try to get my knight. And I, ended up going knight e4, and now we traded. You still got the rook on e7, and I thought, okay, maybe I can try to somehow trade my knight for the bishop and get into the rook endgame. I mean, that was all I was hoping for at this point. But you're getting some time here, because I think you made these moves pretty fast, and I was losing hope that anything can happen. And you play king h4, which surprised me a bit because I thought this is the place you should go, but in a game I feel that you could be panicked about this being a mate. It's obviously not a mate, but like, I know when we play a blitz and you sometimes see things, I feel that the king here would make more sense, because here in h4 in the game, it was kind of out of the way, and then it helped me have some potential ideas with like mate on the edge of the board.
Yeah, King H4, it was a critical moment here and it didn't feel like it, but this
Mm-hmm.
decision where to put the king, and this happens a lot in rook endings as well, it can really change the course of the game. And you're
Yeah.
right that King F4 or even King F3 here
Mm-hmm.
would be better just to keep the king closer to the D
This piece.
pawn,
Yeah.
because that ended up playing a role later
Mm-hmm.
on. and also keeping your king out so that it can't come in, which was another factor. And then it turns out that you don't even have checks here. You can't go rook f5. What I was trying to do with king h4, although it was just an idea, wasn't concrete, was I thought my king would be closer to the pawn. So I was seeing some lines where I would need my king for support
I see.
to push the
Okay.
pawn.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, it's always tricky with the kings. I mean, you see it in hindsight, but like when it actually happens, it you're just making the decision based on that specific moment, and yeah. So it gets to a point now where I thought, okay, you're a pawn, you've created your pass pawn, so my final chance is to try to create my own counterplay. And I really want to take c2, but I thought you're not going to take back. If you would, okay, I'm getting my counterplay, but you don't need to take, and that's why I ended up giving you this check. And kind of taking advantage that you did place the king there, but obviously you can still go back to h3, and I have one more check, and that's about it, I think. But to my surprise, you did take it, which is of course still winning. But this is basically all I was hoping for, to get rook endgame with little time on the clock, and having the ability to take this. I thought, because now you actually need the time to calculate to see whether my d pawn is going to be dangerous for you or not. And
yeah. I mean, what was going on in my mind was
uh-huh.
because the momentum had shifted so much, and I felt like I was on the defensive here, that I was also trying to liquidate into a simplified position and to eliminate risk. And so once we got to rook ending, and here I'm a pawn up, or
Yeah.
no, I'm actually two pawns
Two
up.
pawns, yeah.
So I thought, okay, here I'm okay, and we're playing for two results. And it's a matter of calculation.
Yes.
So yeah, I should have probably spent more time on taking on f5. And in the back of my mind, I knew that it was not the most accurate way to play. I thought it was the safest way to play. Uh, but I just needed to keep pressing. I just needed to go a5 here, essentially, and just
Yes.
push the pawn. And if I did that, then my decision would have been justified to take on f5, because you actually can't stop both pawns. And for some reason, I still decided to go for the
Rook
safer
c6.
option in
Yeah.
my mind, which was to try to eliminate all your pawns. So
Yeah. I
I
mean,
wanted to eliminate all counterplay.
it's very tricky. So what I've been looking on a lot in rook end games, I mean, I do like rook end. I do like to study rook end games, and every time I study them, I think that I know them, and then I end up playing one, and I'm like, yeah, Sabina, you need to study some more. Is just this idea that you have to spend sufficient time to realize what is more important. Is it the activity of the rook? Is it the material? Or is it the rank of the pawns, how advanced they are? And, like what exactly is valued more? And I think they usually say is the rank of the pawn and how you support it, and then rook activity, and then
Yeah.
king activity. But when you're playing a blitz game, at this point it was blitz, right? You don't have the time to judge all of those things, so you need to learn to build habits to make the kind of moves that would help. And of course it's easier said than done, but as you said, this a5 move, what helps for the viewers to be mindful about is the fact that white now creates two far away pass pawns, which black, because of the placement of the rook, though good behind this pawn, is unable to stop both, because now we would want the rook in front on the back rank and stopping both, but there's no possibility. I mean, there's possibility to do that, but then there's no counterplay for black. And that's why this move would simply win the game, because like when I take here, you go a6, and I just can't share my rook between both the a and g pawn, and it's easy to play a7 or g7, rook b7, and then support, and this pawn is just not gonna be strong enough. And that was something that you have to have time to decide. And yeah, after this, I was surprised you made the move, because I thought you're just giving me the pawn immediately, and it makes my life potentially easy to support that pawn. So yeah, I felt that here I thought, okay, I have chances to draw. And I think it is a draw now. You play g7, and then you took, and I play king f4. So this is the part that I was mentioning earlier, that I was happy your king was there because I can utilize this mating net to improve my
Yeah.
king on the fourth rank.
And if my king were on f3, then your king wouldn't even be able to approach the pawn, so it would
Right,
have been a
right.
completely different position.
Yeah, yeah. And then you did this, and I took in g7, and of course I'm gonna take that pawn. That's the most advanced one, the most dangerous one. And this is tricky. Like, I spent a lot of time analyzing this. I thought it was a very interesting endgame because now things have changed. There's been a lot of trades. Now it is black that has the more advanced pawn and the king supporting it, but white has the two connected pawns, and if these pawns can be dangerous if they make it past the sixth rank. So I did spend a lot of time trying to analyze and see, was I winning or not? Like, was I winning or not? And for those of you who want to have the kind of training material, you can definitely pause the video here, get this position, and then come back to see the analysis. But try to figure out what would be maybe white's drawing idea, or how should white draw, because now white is in the position to draw. Would you go rook d5, or would you play b4? Which one of these two moves would you choose to play? I don't know, Alisa. I'm sorry. It's just like, I feel like this is a position
A very instructive moment. Yeah, agree. And it's strange also that now the tides have shifted, that now white is really playing for the draw. You have to consider moves like a5 as well, but I believe that at this point I'm just too slow. So it has to be, I have to put my rook behind the key pawn at some point.
Yeah. And I thought maybe like it matters if I go king e4 or king e3, but with analysis you'd see that actually it doesn't matter. And white keeping the rook behind the pawn will eventually get those two pawns advanced enough that would lead to a draw. But you play b4, which now I should be winning, but I have to be, of course, careful. I think this would have been the best possible move. My move that I played is also winning, but I think this would make the most sense, to get your rook passive and then get the king so that I can actually like win your rook, and I should stop those pawns in time, I think. But I played d3, and then you came here, and now again I have another exercise for the viewers if they want to. Which one of these two moves is winning for black? One is winning, the other one draws. And I chose the drawing. I chose the drawing one. It's very interesting because I've always loved these kind of positions. I love to give my students who are more advanced positions with two moves, because I want to make sure they actually spend the time to see the differences. In chess, we have this ability to see differences, and we sometimes don't do it. We think it's the same. And well, of course, considering the time control we played, we don't have time, but
it has to come to your intuition, and you have to develop those muscles. And the move that you played, king e3, to me seems very natural
I
because
know.
you're getting closer to the pawn to queening, so why wouldn't that be the winning move? But it's actually king e4, which is surprising because you're also giving the rook a chance to go to the back rank where presumably it wants to be, but then you have this motive with rook g5 to create a bridge.
This was the thing that I missed and I didn't realize. And like, you go by intuition, as you said, right? So the intuition tells you you have to support the pawn with the king because you use the rook to stop the other pawns, and and also the rook is cutting off white's king, so it's perfectly placed. That's why I went for king e3. But as we will see, the way the game continued, that move would have actually led to a draw. But here, by one tempo, we are not able to draw with so white can go here, king d4, coming back, rook e1, d2, and then I put this line here. And like, what's important is you would want with white to get those two pawns there, but you don't make it by one tempo. Takes, and then when b5 is played, I get to play here. And thankfully for black, white is missing a move. And then I have here, and I take.
And my king is also still too far again. Yeah.
Yeah. But I play king e3, and Alisa continued like this, and then we follow through the normal path, and I don't even remember how. So in this position, Alisa, did you realize it's a draw? Because we talked about the game after, and I was sure I'm winning, but you said you
Yeah.
thought it might be a draw.
I also thought you were winning, and that's
Okay.
why I froze. And here, at least I was playing purely off of increment. You know,
Yeah.
we just kept going down to 1 or 2 seconds, and got to 10
Mm-hmm.
seconds, then kept going down. And I just froze up in the way because I'm thinking of ways to promote the pawns, and to stop your d-pawn because I see it coming. I see you promoting in just a couple of moves. And then I ended up finding the drawing continuation. I believe I can play either rook d7 or rook d8 here.
Mm-hmm.
And rook
Yeah.
d8, so if you take on b5, then I go a7, you go back, and then I just start checking.
Checkmate. Yeah. And I
And you
have,
can't make
yeah.
progress.
And if I hide here, then you promote, and then it's gonna be a draw still.
Yeah.
There's
And
no
also
way.
if you hide on the a file, then I can also promote because there's a hidden check in there.
Yeah.
Um, so by the time I figured that out, and this also just goes to I was a bit out of practice, and in general, I'm not a speed chess player. I grew up playing classical chess, so I just don't have this type of experience built up. So by the time I played Rook D8, I believe what happened was I made the move on the board, but I didn't
Yeah.
press the clock in time, so I actually ended up
Yeah.
flagging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I in my mind I thought I was winning, but it wasn't. Like I was sure I was winning at this point. So you
Yeah,
know
that's what it felt like. There was this just
yeah,
mutual aura that I was losing, so I didn't push myself too much to even make the move on time.
yeah. It was tough. And then when we both saw it, we were like, okay, this was a draw. And I couldn't believe it. I spent quite a bit of time after you told me about it. I spent quite a bit of time trying to analyze it and see really. And then I saw all of those positions like with the king and your moves as well. And I learned quite a few things from the end game too. So as you can see, a very, I think, very exciting game that the both of us played. I mean,
Very rich game,
very rich.
full of lessons.
I mean, from the opening part, preparation, psychology, going into attack, when is the right time to sacrifice, when to make the decision, or when to pace yourself. Maybe how not to give up and try to find some chances. Like obviously I didn't stay and do nothing, and it's like but obviously a lot of things played a role, I think, in this game, and hopefully the viewers have enjoyed the different lessons, and well, we certainly hope to get some comments about this game. It's I do enjoy. I've always enjoyed the conversations with you after a game, because even if like one of us has won, there's always we've always talked about it, and we always had nice learning experiences. At least from my point of view, I hope from yours is the same. So I certainly hope to see you back on the board with more, like with a more relaxed mind and enjoyment, and yeah, I hope people who are watching this interview get inspired by your story, and think of you, maybe send you a message of encouragement. If they have a story about your dad that they want to share that maybe you're not aware of, because as you said at the beginning of the podcast, you enjoyed having the opportunity to come back home and learn more about your family. And this is something I've been doing myself with the loss of my mom years ago. I've always enjoyed when someone came back and shared a nice story of something that my mom had done to kind of inspire them. So I hope you also get those those kind of moments with people from the chess community, and you continue finding inspiration to continue your passion for chess, as well as, of course, having your successful attorney career. And yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And my dad was always a fighter, and he always kept me to fight. And in Russian, he would use the phrase "держись," always
Mhm.
just hold on, keep fighting. So yeah, I mean that's what I'm doing, and in chess as well. I think he would want me to have it play a role in my life going forward. I do appreciate hearing from people with stories, especially stories that I wouldn't necessarily be aware of because I always had this one perspective of my dad, and I always saw him in this particular way or light. So I always enjoy hearing about other things that he was doing or impact that he left on others.
Well, Alisa, I do appreciate your time spending with me. And is there any final thoughts that you have that you like to share? Maybe some advice for parents or for kids getting into chess or for kids trying to decide between combining a chess career with a job in a corporate or other fields. Any final thoughts you'd like to share?
Sure. I mean, with all of that, it goes back to perspective. So if you're choosing between different careers, just make sure that whatever path you're doing is genuine to yourself and that it's something that you will be independently motivated to do, because at the end of the day, that's what makes a difference. It's not that I don't have time anymore for chess. If I have a full-time job, it just goes down to motivation. And if you want to do it, you'll find a way to do it. And then on the flip side of that, I'll also say just, don't get fully immersed in the bubble to the point where you lose yourself or you lose objectivity or you start tying your self-worth and your value to certain things, and just to keep the bigger perspective, the bigger picture in mind. And also just something that this experience has taught me, just think about the way that you treat other people or the way that you want to be remembered. Because one thing that I was very touched by was, all of the support that came in and all the memories that people had of my dad, not even for his accolades or his accomplishments or his status, or, he wrote a lot of books and treatises and he was very educated and very smart, but all the messages I got were about what a devoted father, coach, husband he was, what a gentleman he was, how proud he was, all of these things. And so that's really how, people will remember you and the type of legacy that you leave behind.
I love that. Thank you so much, Alyssa, for the time. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Don't forget to give us thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Leave us a comment and let us know what other stories you want us to bring on these podcasts. I wish you all a wonderful rest of the day or evening, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.